Hi.
on.
Hey, but thanks that you want to talk with me. I have a video channel in the Netherlands.
Okay,
At this moment, 41,000 subscribers, and
that's serious.
for the Netherlands in Dutch, it's yeah, well, not the biggest one, but it's
It's quite big, right?
quite big for a serious channel. Because if you
Okay.
make cat videos, you have 100,000 in a week. That's no problem. But I don't have cat videos. I have videos about war. I have videos about investing. I have videos about politics. So that's, yeah, well, quite serious stuff. And yeah, well, that's not hot.
So
So,
you're a serious influencer in the Netherlands. Am I
well, if
correct?
For the Ukraine war, yes, I'm the most important influencer for the Ukraine war in the Netherlands. Yes,
Okay.
that because I was in the army, and one of the things I had to teach was tactics. And
Oh, got it.
it's not nice to say, but what I like about the war in Ukraine is the tactics of the Ukraine army, because
I understand what you're saying, so it's
I
okay.
know you know this, the art of war.
The Art of War.
Yeah.
I haven't
And
read it yet.
I know your higher ups have read it. They
Okay, got
they
it.
know it by heart because I can see.
Are you see the
And
samples from the book involved
yeah,
in the field
well,
here?
the Kurtz Bridge, it's one hell of an example. You have to keep one golden bridge for your enemy to retreat. You see it.
Ah,
It's in the art of war, and you see it in real time playing out now. There are 2,000
that's
cars standing, waiting in line to go. So yeah, that's that's something that's very hot at this moment, and yeah, that's what I like about the war, because it's not just beating each other to pulp. It's thinking, how can I do the most damage to my enemy without
with
losing
limited
myself too
resources.
much. And that's
Uh,
something Ukraine does. And Russia is for a big part just throwing and doing and not thinking about it. But that's because it's a dictatorship.
yeah, it's a
And
mentality. They think that the biggest fish in the pond, in the original pond here.
yeah,
So like they never had to go like creative when it comes
yeah,
to the war tactics.
yeah, and they always have the feeling, I think, that they are the best, the biggest. The United States has the same problem. China has the same problem, and well, you have to do other things to compensate that, and you have to be creative. And I like the way I remember the first drone drop on a car, and it went to the car roof. And then, wow, that's something. And that was just a soldier who said, "Hey, we can have a drone and drop a grenade." And 3 years later, you have this. So yeah,
A
that's
drone war,
incredible.
yeah.
And you went to war with the same stuff I had when I was in the army, and I was in the army in 86, 87. and
That's true. That's true.
and it was the same war that I was preparing for, and that was 5 years ago. And now it's totally different. It's everything is different. The way the Air Force is working, the way the Army is working, everything changed because
You're
of
correct.
this.
You're correct. Everything is adapting to the drone pair. I'm not sure if you're aware, but my unit is staged at in Kharkiv, in Vovchansk area. So Vovchansk is the top three hottest spots. But the reason it's considered a hot spot is because of the density of drones in this small area.
Mhm.
It just, I mean, we're talking about several dozens kilometers wide, but the area is open. It's not heavily forested, and it has been heavily bombed before. So like it's an ideal environment to use and to test drones. as a result, I would say if you want to see what's going to happen in the drones in the next 6 months, you just need to look in our region right now.
Okay. And I'm just curious, why haven't you been able to get rid of the Russians over there? What is there a special reason for that?
Well, I mean, there are different theories about that, but like, I mean, if we talk about what the soldier sees on the front lines, we don't have. I mean, it's a fragile balance on the front line. We're not dominating the front line as some of the news state. We managed to secure the front line, so it's
Hmm.
not moving anywhere. And it was very difficult. And we just got it because, let's say, if we were talking with you in December, it's like, you're renovating the wall and you see the cracks appearing everywhere. So just like trying to fix it. Finally, we realized that drones is the future. You need to invest into them. And I'm in the drone unit of the bodyguard detachment number 11. So our task was to build an effective drone shield in our area of responsibility. And we are about to triple the number of the positions. We invested a lot into the a second level of training for the operators. So like there's basic and there's like an upgraded training course that you can take. And we can see results. It has been very stable in our direction.
Okay.
And the drone shield, it allows, or it does not allow the enemy to use massive big attacks. They used to have that. Now they need to now they need to become creative. So they use infiltration attacks when, like, small groups of 2 to 3 people trying to infiltrate, figure out your soft spot, and then go around the position. But because of the constant monitoring of the area with the drones, we see them in most of the cases before they reach the middle ground, for example.
All right. Yeah, because if we see in the south, there is the suffocation of the Russians because of the logistics. But in your area, that's much more difficult because you're next to Russia. So the
Correct,
logistic.
correct.
Yeah, so and is it that you just get enough to get by, or is it the Russians are too strong there because they are so close to Russia? What is the situation there?
I actually lost the main idea for the first question. So, like, I just want to give a quick summary. So, as a result, what I see that they have more drones and more heavier artillery on their side. There is also definitely um, they have more human power.
Hmm.
At the same time, I think we are more advanced in drones. We have better drones and we know how to use them better. So when it comes to the tactics, strategy, and the mastery of the level of the operators, we are definitely better than them. And as a result, we managed to keep this balance on the front line with a smaller number of drones and soldiers. So that would be my summary. And at the same time, I think it's also there is a theory that's kind of like a hybrid war when the war is there to put the pressure on some political decisions to be made. That's another thing to consider, maybe, but it's not something that the soldier would give like a trusted answer.
Okay, now, but I can imagine that the war can be won in Crimea because if they come to the conclusion we can't keep Crimea because everybody is starving there, then maybe the war is won. And I can imagine, and I don't know, but I can imagine that your front gets just enough to get by, to keep it stable, to get everything else on the place where the war is won. Because let's be honest, the war is not won at your front, but it can be lost there. So it's important, of course, but the war is gonna be won in Kherson and the Crimea at this moment. Everything can change, of course, but Putin has said, I want to have Donbass on the 31st of December, and he's not going to get it, I hope. But I do hope that the 40 days Zelensky talked about, and that's in 30 days, that is something that really on the table, that you are able as Ukraine to get the Russians at the table, because they are so desperate that they try to preserve something of we have won, to stop this war. And I think that is still on the table. It is working, and you are at the front. That is maybe a casualty of that
Yeah,
decision.
yeah.
And that's why I was asking, why aren't you able to get rid of them there? But yeah, it's not a priority to get rid of them, but it's a priority to stop them there where you are, because you can lose the war at your place.
I think you're absolutely correct. If you try to go deeper into analysis and separate every segment of the front line, they have different tasks. Like, while Crimea and Donbass is sacred for the Russians, and this is where they focus mostly, I think Kharkiv area would be more as a detraction and trying to stretch Ukrainian forces away from Donbass and Crimea. And I mean, it was a very good idea, because there are a lot of people in Kharkiv direction from our side, and otherwise we would have been fighting in Donbass. But I also believe you're right that right now we are trying to get a better position of strength for the future peace talks, and that's why I'm so happy to see the news that we see for the last 1 month, or maybe 1 month and a half, targeting the oil refineries, the logistics, etc. What hasn't been talked, that we actually have a heavy pressure on our logistics um, and our infantry, and as a result, I just want to say that it's extremely important, all the volunteer help that we get from the Europe, from within Ukraine, or even broader. Sometimes we're talking about worldwide. North America sometimes shows up with some help to us, because the central support. The central provision system probably covers 75% at the moment of our needs. There is still 1/4 left, and usually that 1/4 is left because the situation changes. For example, logistic has to adapt really fast. There is like a new drone upgrade that the government is not able to provide in the short time period, and this is where I rely on volunteers a lot.
Yeah, I understood that you got 3 of the ground drones that were given by the organization where I work with. You got 3 of them. Are they available to you yet?
So we already got 2 and we're using them. The third one is coming, well, next month. The next month it starts the next day, but it's coming very soon. And there are 2 things to keep in mind. For example, I'm representing the unit of around 600 people. So there are there are five separate subunits, and each of them have their own logistics. So
Mm,
three drones, that's 50% of our current need for the logistics.
yeah.
At the same time, unfortunately, kind of expensive things like ground drones and logistic drones, they're becoming like very easy, very fast to change type of equipment, just because the life expectancy of the ground drone is usually 2 weeks, 1 month if you are very skilled at the defending your logistic way. The ground drones, you can multiply those timelines by two because they're harder to catch, harder to destroy, but still 1 to 1 month and a half.
Yeah, we're still promoting the drones. So if one is looking at this video, I do it in Dutch. In de beschrijving van deze video kan je vinden waar je kan overmaken om dus gronddrones te gaan overmaken. En ze zijn er erg dankbaar voor. Dus ja, ze zijn keihard nodig. We hebben er al 100 gepresenteerd. We hebben er 100 en we moeten nog meer, want 2 weken, soms iets langer en dan zijn ze al kapot. Oké, thank you. Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you, have you been drafted or are you a volunteer?
I have been forcefully drafted. So I went through the whole shock, oh my God, I'm civilian. This is the first time I'm in the army. And since the first 2 months you get in, I mean, I got kind of, I tried to adapt myself. And then I got transferred to the combat detachment and went to Kharkiv. And I have to say that this is this weird case, and I actually started liking it a lot in the last year. It's actually completely reboots your system. It forces you to act faster, to adapt faster. And at the age of 50, it's kind of like your second youth. It also gives you an opportunity to make the whole new circle of friends. I'm talking about the comrades that stationed together with you, or the volunteers. I'm pretty sure that we're talking about the same contact that works for
Mm,
the United Aid Ops.
yeah,
It's a wonderful female from the Dutch minority. So I
Sitske.
mean, Sitske, correct. She became like my second sister, that sister from another mister, sister
Okay.
that I never had in real life. Um, she's wonderful, and that's not the only volunteer that I met like this.
Yeah, she's a brave woman, and I do like her a lot. And I haven't seen her in real person yet. I haven't
Okay.
been able to. There were some moments that we have a gathering. Can you come? And then I had something else, and that yeah. But she's quite a woman, yeah. And I do like to talk to her and help her out with my channel and help out because yeah, you have to win this. The fact that, are you 50? Did you say that?
I'm gonna be 50 next year, so I'm 49.
Okay. Oh, well, you look younger. That's,
Thanks. Well, the vegetarian lifestyle and yoga helps a lot.
yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, and what was your occupation before you went to the army?
I always wanted to, and I was working all my life in marketing. I got my
Okay.
uni degree from the US. And I worked in Ukraine, Asia, and Canada.
Mm,
And then in 2016, I got back to Ukraine. I was trying to figure out probably something similar to what you're doing. It's like semi-retired lifestyle in not such a big city. And I managed to do this. Beginning of the war wasn't that expected, for me at
yeah,
least.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, nobody expected it because who would have thought that Russia would be that dumb? But all right, they were.
Well, now when you analyze, you might actually see all the signs. We were ignoring them because Europe has been in peace for a long time, and Ukraine, although it's not a part of the European Union yet, it is geographically the center of Europe, and I was shocked for a long time, that you could see an active war conflict in the continent that promotes peace all over the world.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. The problem I see that Ukraine didn't get the help in the first instance was the fact that we didn't trust Ukraine to be a true partner, and because Ukraine chose to be ally of Russia in '91. And the
Correct.
Baltic states said, "Yeah, we have enough of Russia." And yeah, in hindsight, that was the biggest mistake the Ukraine made. And the second biggest one was give the nuclear weapons away. So yeah, that were some stupid things in hindsight. Yeah, it's easy to say it right now, but yeah, we live in the right now, and I think Ukraine will be better off being in the EU and being part of what left of NATO, because I think NATO is gone. The United States twice chose Trump. They are gone. It's over for the United States. Whoever will be president, nobody's gonna trust the United States again like we did, and we're not gonna say, "Oh, United States, you were so great." Yeah, well, that was 80 years ago, and now not anymore. So yeah, there's a big mistrust to the states. There was a mistrust of Ukraine, also because of the fraud that was there and has to be tackled in Ukraine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's important. But right now you see that in Ukraine themselves, there's the people say, "Oh, there's fraud. You gotta do something about it. Even if you're the best friend of the president, you're gonna be taken off the street." So that's a good thing. And is there anything else on the war that you say, well, it's not good presented in the West? We see it different than we do. Is there something that we miss on how Ukraine is doing? I'm just curious because I think I have a good understanding of how the war is going, but is this the fact, or do you say, yeah, there's something you miss also?
That's a very deep question. There are so many layers you need to think of. One thing just to like for a starter is I want everybody remember that despite all the corruption issues, difficulties with logistics, the funds like United Aid Ops are doing their pre-checks. So, like they completely monitor the investments that people or the donations that people make. And they do select only the units that have high moral compass. Like, for example, the commandant of my unit, he drives a really shitty car. And I mean, I know that he's not a rich person. But at the same time, he's smart, he's strict when it's needed, and he is flexible enough when it's needed also. The second thing is most of the investments that you guys provide are going into logistics. They're not going into the war drones, they're going to logistics. And it's not just a delivery system to the combat position, it's also a way to increase the level of security for the drivers and for the personnel. And I have several stories when, because of the volunteer help, we saved several or like half a dozen of lives in that particular day. So I just want to thank you for all of the Dutch people that I personally don't know. But because of donations, even from the United Aid Ops, we saved probably at least of 2 dozen drivers and operators. They didn't need to do the drive at that particular moment. It was a ground drone that could do it on its own.
Yeah, that's what I like about the ground drones, that we facilitate those, because some people just don't want to give weapons, and they say, well, I don't want to give money to get people dying there. But we are saving lives, and that's great. That's what I like about this. We are saving the lives of your Ukrainian soldiers with those ground drones. So I hope that people that see this video say, well, I have a few euros left and I can send them to this. Every euro counts. So yeah, that's and I'm working with them, the Ukraine Ops, and we have multiple channels that are helping Ukraine Ops to do this,
Okay.
and I'm just a small part of it, just a very small part, but I'm happy to participate
To
in this
contribute.
and help. And yeah, well, I'm continuing this, and I'm so glad you had time to talk to me about this war. One thing I do want to know, in the Netherlands, you hear about the manpower shortage in Ukraine army, and I know at your front, it's yeah, well, what I told, what we talked about, it's not the number one front for attack, so you have to do with less. But is this in Ukraine still a priority? Manpower shortage, is that something that is critical?
Yes, you are correct again. It is one of the top priorities, actually, because what happens with you cannot take all the men from the country to go to the front line. There are still critical infrastructure that needs to be maintained. But even the critical infrastructure right now suffers from the deficiency of male power. As a result, the new drafts that we're getting, I mean, I feel myself young and I'm 49, like it's guys who are even slightly older than me. We don't have this huge issue in the unit because when it comes to the drone unit, you have the priority in selection of new drafts, and we're trying to go for the younger guys who would be more adaptable for the use of high-tech equipment. Because on top of the drones, you have ground drones, logistic drones, you know how to use generators and charging stations, and you have to learn quickly because a couple months ago, I met ex-military Dutch guy, and he was saying that finally Dutch military decided to create courses for the drone operators. So this year there'll be 30 drone operators that will be studying for 12 months. And we're laughing because in Ukraine it's 2 weeks plus 2 weeks for a more advanced class, and you're ready to operate the drone. Maybe the middle ground would be the best, but
Hmm.
yeah, you have to learn. It is an issue, and as bodyguards, we cannot take in foreigners. The army, the actual Ukrainian army forces, they are building a process and bring people from the Latin America right now,
Oh yeah,
South
yeah, I
and
saw
Central.
Colombia. Yeah, and
Correct.
do you have female drone operators at your front?
Yes, they do exist. I actually personally know one girl. It's Oh my God, I wish she would be speaking English because she would be wonderful
Mm.
for you. It's like every answer she gives, it's poetic, it's full of emotions. She also looks like one of those Japanese mango
Oh,
kids. And she's a good operator. She has a rate of 45, 4 hits out of the 5 drones sent. It's amazing for our standards. Um, again, in our border patrol detachment, we only take in females for the office positions,
Mm,
and I think it's rudimentary. So I'm also responsible for the recruitment of volunteers. I'm fighting for this, and it's slowly moving, but it's not on the level that I would like to see.
yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, the fact that we take a course for a year and you do it in 2 weeks, yeah, you have to learn on the job. I guess that would be better. And over here, we are still in the mood of, yeah, well, we can do it in don't rush it and everything. And over there, it's like you have to be ready tomorrow, and you have to do it because we have a problem now. And here in the Netherlands, it's our army yesterday did talk about and had a big promotion. We're gonna change, and then you hear the changes and you think, oh yeah, that's gonna take years. And there's no rush, there's no feeling of we have to do this tomorrow. And yeah, that's something I still can't comprehend. And I have been in the army myself. I was the lucky one. We had 45 people. Only one
Hmm.
could be an instructor in the Netherlands. The rest had to go to Germany, and I was the instructor. So I was the lucky one, I guess, because I was
Okay.
not good in the field. I'm good in a
Got it.
and I was just no. I can't take a shit next to another guy. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen.
Oh man, you yes, then it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, so I was on when we were in the field. I had a half a year in practice, and we had a lot of weeks that you are in the field. And I always looked for a wooded area. Nobody saw me, and I take a shit there. But no,
Did it
that
change? Did you have you toughened up, or is still very you're still a private person?
well, I'm changing, and nowadays
Okay.
I think, oh, fuck it. Yesterday
All
I
right.
took a swim, and I
Mhm.
took a swim naked, and I thought, well, fuck it, I'm gonna swim
All right,
naked.
big progress.
But it takes so much effort to do that. Yeah,
That's what the army is all about. It allows you to release and be yourself.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
kidding.
I didn't have swimming trousers with me, and it's hot over here, so I thought, well,
Okay,
so yeah.
got it.
But yeah, I was the lucky one in 86, 87, and I did have a good time, but I was the only one from my school class that was
Hmm.
going to the army. The rest didn't have to go, and the payment was lousy. I got 500 guilders in a month, and my schoolmates got 2,200 guilders in the month. So I
Okay.
was for 1.5 years in the army, and I didn't have money to spend, and I hated it. And maybe that formed me to say, I want to have money. And everything I did was, but where's the money?
Yeah.
And now I'm the lucky guy. I have my semi pension, like always, all
Very
for
smart.
more than 20 years, and I'm very lucky to have that. I'm working from my house. This is an office next to my house, and
Mhm.
a studio and everything. So that's great working, and I'm glad
You
I
made
can
it.
help.
Congratulations. So let's just take a moment and there were a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
smart decisions probably involved.
Yeah, I made some smart decision, and I was lucky, and that's why I say I have to work to help you guys to reach the same level, to make sure Ukraine can be part of the EU and can
Thank
be
you.
a good part of the EU, because we need you, you need us, and we can be stronger. And Russia is not gonna go away. It's gonna stay there. Maybe it's gonna be smaller,
Unfortunately,
like
yes.
Soviet Union was also bigger, but Russia is gonna stay, America is gonna stay, and we have to unite to be stronger against that. And Canadian Prime Minister Carney said it well. You have those second tier nations that have to cluster together to be
Yes.
strong against the big powers. And I think that on the big politics, that's important. And you are literally on the front of that. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
and I'm way back, thousands of kilometers back, and living the good life. And you have to fight like hell to keep the hordes away. So I wish you very well, and I hope you succeed very quickly. The 40 days, I'm hoping that the 40 days will be enough. I'm not sure whether that will be the fact, but Ukraine is doing well. It's doing great.
Right.
It's just, can you reach the Kremlin that they understand that this is over? And that's the problem, because the Kremlin doesn't want to understand that this is over. They have millions of people to offer and to sacrifice. And that's the problem, I guess. I wish you well. Thank you for your time. I hope we can speak again. If you have that female operator, you can translate whatever. That will be great.
All right. That's a
If
possibility.
there's a possibility, please, my contact number, and it will be great. And if I can do anything to promote and to get more, I will do it. So, thank you.
I actually would like to extend the thank you back at you, and we also have to keep in mind we maybe we don't say it often enough, but we highly value all the supporters, all the volunteers, and all the news gatekeepers like you are, Tom, because that really changes the balance of the front lines.
I'm
Thank you
glad to hear
so
it.
much.
Thank you and for this, and hope to see you again. Take care.
До побачення. Слава Україні!
Slava Ukraine.